Hello, so this week I was presented with a unique challenge by one of my colleagues, and that was to use conditional formatting to change the color of a cell, not just based on the number of that cell, but also based off the name of the test in another cell. So to give you a little bit of background, we teach at an adult education program for students trying to earn their GED or their HiSET, which is their high school equivalency. And we have to give the students a pre-test to determine which test to even give them so we can see what level of learning they're at and how to move forward. So in this example, I've just taken 3 of the many tests that we give them and called it FPT 1, 2, and 3. And as you'll notice, each one of them has a different range for a different color. So red would indicate that they have a lot of work to do to be ready for their test. Yellow means they're on their way, and green means they're in great shape. So it's really helpful when we have a large number of students to be able to just look at a glance and see which students need more attention and which ones are ready to move on to the next step. So in this case, we'll see, like on test 1, they're in the green if they're 50 plus. On test 2, 60 plus, and test 3, 70 plus, and so on. These are just example ranges, but you'll see it's a different range for the yellow and for the red as well. So how does this look in action over here? Well, you'll see if we have a score of 35, it's in red for test 2 because that falls within that range. However, if this was test 1 that they were taking, well, now you'll see it actually falls into the yellow range. Similarly, if we change the score to maybe 60, it might be a green for test 1. However, if we go to test 3, it puts them in the yellow, and they still need a little more work for that section. So, how does this work? Well, a lot of us are familiar with conditional formatting for one cell, but how do we do it for 2 cells? We use what's called the AND function. So if I click on conditional formatting and manage the rules, we'll see all the rules that I've made here, and I'm going to just double click on one of them so you can see how we set this up. So it's using this section called use a formula to determine which cells to format. And so what we'll see here is we have the equal symbol, the word and all in caps, that's the and function. And it says everything in these parentheses must be true, okay, in order for the formatting to happen. In this case, the formatting is just to change it to red. So we want cell C3 to equal FPT1 and D3, the cell that we're going to put the score in, is less than or equal to 25. We want it to format as a fill of this red color. And you can change that to any color you want, it doesn't matter. You can even have it add a border, you can make it become bold, a different font size, whatever you want, strike through. But in this case, we just simply wanted it to change a color. Okay? Similarly, for the yellow, if I double click on that, you'll see the AND function. Again, everything in this parentheses must be true in order for it to change it to yellow. We want cell C3, which everything in the column of C, is going to be the test name, in this case test 1. And D3, we want the score to be greater than 25 but less than 50 to format it as a fill of this yellow. Okay, so to make things easier, you can just simply copy and paste and change the test number and then the numbers for the range. So you'll see here, because I have 3 different colors and 3 different tests, I have, this is for test 1, test 2, and test 3, as you see the pop-up there. And then the same thing again for the yellows, test 1, test 2, and so on. So to start from scratch, you would simply click on your cell, click conditional formatting, you can say new rule, and then use a formula to determine which cells to format. And here you would go ahead and put the and formula and anything you want for yours. So I created this little cheat sheet just so you can see what it's going to look like. I'm going to move this up into the same screen, and you'll see all the formulas for test 1. We want it to be less than or equal to 25 becomes red, greater than 25 but less than 50 turns yellow, and then greater than 50 will be green. And then we just repeat the process for test 2 and test 3 and input the appropriate ranges there. Now, one thing to note that's very important, hopefully you're still with me at this point, is it is important to identify the cell as just the cell but not with the $sign. As we know from other videos that the $sign in front of a cell name or in front of the column name or the row name will make it permanently reference that cell. And the challenge with that is then when we want to go ahead and just copy the formula to all of our other cells, it will not carry over appropriately because the $sign locks it into always referencing back to cell C3. So when we make sure not to use the $signs, it will change it accordingly to C4, C5, and so forth. Now the last thing I'll leave you with, in case you may be wondering, is does this work the same in Google Sheets? And the answer is yes, it's exactly the same. So take care and good luck.